Hey Collective, it's Al, and welcome back to my channel. I actually had something in particular that I was going to do for today's little video, but as I was preparing to film one and to release another one on altruistic channels, I suddenly ran into all these problems with uploading, and so that always means something. So I stopped what I was doing. So I was originally going to do a piece on this discernment, actually, ironically, that was going to be working with everyone on how to discern how God talks to you. And so I was about to do that and release a video, which was like a first interview, if you will, after I finally got in my new system that someone had gifted me. Out of nowhere, right? It was a blessing that came to me out of I wasn't expecting it and so forth. But anyway, the moral story is that I had not spoken anything to viewership, if you will, for YouTube. And it was my first take, and I just was like a babbling brook. I was just like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And it was a really great interview, if you will. It wasn't an interview per se, but the way that it came across was as though I was being asked questions. And again, it goes back to the working with the divine and how they will prompt you with images, and so you know where you're going. You just don't know what you're going to say. You just go with the flow. And so I was really, really into it, but I could not upload it. So I stopped what I was doing. I was like, okay, there's something I need to know. And so I went online, and of someone from the past who is an incredibly gifted woman was speaking live about something, and I didn't know what she was talking about, and it's someone that I really have come to trust, and so I'm not going to say who it is. I'm just going to kind of in a roundabout way acknowledge receipt of the message that I might be one of the people that she might have been speaking to. And the way I'm going to do it is that if you guys remember, as she was talking about betrayal. And she was talking about how the Jesus and so forth knew that Judas was going to betray him. And she was very eloquently speaking to it, and she had been working on it because it's something that's been heavy on her. She's one of God's people. And so I've come to trust her. But I haven't really been able to catch up on her because she's doing her own thing, and it's like really empowering, all that stuff. But when it comes to people that are in what I call in alignment with the divine, however they are in alignment, I honor their space. If it, you know what I mean, like I allow what needs to be known to me be presented, but I don't go and I don't look on their stuff or stuff like that, because when you work with the divine, a lot of you or a lot of us that are in alignment will get information that is shared information, and so I don't ever want to like go and like almost inadvertently pick up something from someone else's that's their message. You see what I'm saying? So I tend to stay away from people that I am. That I can understand that I'm on an alignment with in our frequency. I don't tend to watch them as often because of the fact that I honor their space and who they are and all that stuff. But so I hadn't heard from her in a while, and I hadn't known it, but it was the first fucking video on my feed, and I was like, well, that's interesting because I'm not even subscribed. So I looked it up, and the reason why I'm even kind of tickled by this is because remember I had mentioned that I had been given premonition about a couple of things that were coming down my way. Betrayal and things that were really going to hurt me, and I don't know exactly what they are, but I know who they are. And so I didn't know what to do with it, but I had mentioned to you guys, don't worry, I know what's coming, blah 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 blah. Well, okay, so she's talking and talking and talking, and I'm like, wow, that sounds really familiar. And it had to do with 3 different aspects to life and 3 different, well, actually 4 components, right? And this is why I'm going to confirm to her that I received a message. Now, in the same video for the past, I think it's 2 or 3 videos for the past 3 days, before she even did her thing, I had mentioned that I was working on a monologue because part of my mission was to help people come out of the dark and towards the light, and that I was going to be going into some really dark places. And so acting was a good way for me to build a 4th wall where I didn't take on the energy, but instead was able to put myself into that situation and help guide them out without taking the ownership of their trauma. And so I had said very clearly, and this is acknowledgement to her, I had said that the piece I had chosen for my monologue was called The Garden. I thought that was a very beautiful piece that I was going to do, that I'll be doing at some point this weekend. To her, she's going to be like, he got it. Got the message. I got the message. Sweet pea, I got the message. Okay. And the funny part is that I had mentioned, I think it was like about 7 months ago, like one of the last, or 8 months ago, one of the last videos that I had ever done where I was actually able to talk before, the newness of what's unfolding began. I had said about this particular person that I had a dream that she and I had gone shopping. And that we had originally gone to get something, and I think I even said that it was like something tarot related, but that we ended up going to get clothes instead. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I just thought I was like some freak fan or something like that, until this all connected into each other, and I went, "Oh my God, I'm not crazy." Okay. So, girl, I got your message. And how ironic that it's called the garden. Where was the betrayal? Well, it happened when he went to the garden. And I didn't know, like, it was so oblivious to me that I didn't understand it until I heard her. And I said, oh my God, that's right. Oh, that explains all of this stuff that I'm going through. And so, just FYI, the Lord works in such beautiful ways. And if you're open to it, and people evolve and change and stuff like that, and so she speaks to that as well. Yeah. So, needless to say, on that particular issue, I'm going to be pulling back a little bit on some of the things I'm working on. Once this week is over, it's going to be very premeditated and very structured, because of what's unfolding beyond what you guys see. Not that anything's happening. So those of you who are all like mean, evil people that, the great thing about strength is that at some point, and this is not daring anybody, it's just a truth that needs to be said. When you live your life honestly, and you come to terms with your fears, and you own it, and you yourself speak your truth way before it even becomes relevant or interesting to anybody, you disempower anybody from having extra pull on your life. Because what they're going to say, that Al was a drug addict, I've been very clear about that. I was, yeah. But they're going to, you know what I mean? So it's not like a challenge, but it's something that I found for myself when having confronted my fears, that when you say your truth and you put it into the right words, like how it actually happened, then later on people don't have as much to grab onto, and it kind of deflates the ability to fuck with someone. And so I know who these people are, and I needed a confirmation because some of them are super close to me. But the God works in mysterious ways, because here's this beautiful being that I greatly admire, who I've never met, who literally confirms it in exactly the same vernacular of something that I'm already. You see what I'm saying? Like, I know that people think that we're all hokey pokey and like, oh, this and that. No, honey. There's a cohesiveness that maybe you're not privy to, and you're not meant to until you get there. But I just gotta say thank you. I gotta tell you thank you, because it's just my third eye right now. I have a slight headache because of how much download. But I just wanted you to know that for those of you who are like maybe don't have the best intentions and all that stuff, all I'm gonna say is that I wish the best for everyone on this planet, and I really do. And my intention is to help people, not to hurt people. But I'm not above the idea that humans have insecurities and have issues that they need to deal with. And so I know that what I speak is so truthful, and that it's not like egomaniacal. It's just like a truth that just comes out. When you work with the divine gives you the words. And if not, we'll give you like the images or something that will help verify things. And you just need to talk to the divine will clarify. And sometimes if you're hard-headed like me, like I am, other team members, if you will pick up on it. And so just FYI to Girly, like, you can verify it, sweet pea. I mean, the fucking name of the monologue that I chose was Out of the Garden. Coincidence, right? It's coincidental. Anyway, so the moral story is, so what I wanted to focus on was about creation and the fact that we're all creative beings. So now that we got the little toxic thing out of the way, I'm not tickled by it. I'm not amused by it. It's just confirmation, and the fact that God is very, source, spirit, whatever you call it, is so brilliant. And I don't know how else to put it. Like, even in the darkest parts, I always knew that there was a design to things, and it was just, I'm always awestruck by the brilliance and cohesiveness to alignment. Okay, Having said the toxicity part, although I will say this, a little update on the living situation. So today, I'm only going to bring this up because there was innocent people that were here for it. So you guys know that I've been kind of going through it with my own little last part of the initiation process, and of course now I'm kind of finding it funny because like last night I finally got really good sleep. It was the first night he went out, and like you're allowed one night out where you don't have to be here, so there was no music, and so I got to sleep, and it was heaven on earth, right? And so sorry, my hair. Actually, I'm starting to dig it. I don't really care that I'm wearing a man bun at the moment. It fucking works out just fine for me. So this living situation, so I found out today that, remember how I told you that all I had asked was, like, when I first got here, I had slept 5 days on the ground, and that, you know, when it gets really, like, too much for me, which is every day, like, when music's going for, like, 6 hours, by the 5th hour, I can't handle it anymore. I can, but I just don't see why I should, so I go into my little bathroom, and I just lay on the bathroom, and I, like, work and do stuff like that, and so there's nothing wrong with it. It's an empowering moment for me. Plus, it's cooler, to be honest with you. I learned that when I was a kid, when I was asthmatic. Full circle. I used to go lay on the bathroom or the kitchen tile because it would cool down my fevers from asthma. And so now as an adult, I just go in there and just get some peace and quiet. And every now and then I think of Harry Potter for some reason because of the fact that they travel in the bathroom. I know it's kind of occult-ish and stuff, but it just entertains me sometimes, the variables. And, you know, as we evolve, we go through different phases. And I'm going to shout out to her again on that, because we do evolve, and so the people that we are in 1 second may not be the people that we're going to be 2 seconds later, because it's an evolution for the soul. But anyway, so I'm in the bathroom, and I go out to smoke a cigarette because he came home today, and I was actually in a good mood. I had slept all night and everything, so I go out and I see that there's like 3 women dressed in nursing uniform, like, that are here for COVID testing. No one had told us. Right, and so they're just sitting there. Nobody's in front of them. I mean, I was like, what the fuck? Like, isn't that the point of this place? It's like to keep us that are most susceptible to be safe, but there's no mandate, no nothing. And so as I'm about to go out there, I hear the people passing by me. Now remember, I've asked to move now because of all of the shit that's happened, but not against the guy. Like, I'm very careful not to put the guy in a bad light because he's not done anything wrong, right? And I'm very balanced. So I had asked them to move me to another place. I know there's empty rooms, and they were like, oh, there's no empty rooms. Okay. So I'm going down to see these nurses that randomly were there that nobody told us about, and guess what? The entire fucking 3rd floor is empty. Only one person lives up there. And I'm like, see, I would normally rise above that and not say anything, but what happened next is why I'm even bringing the whole question into this location up. Okay. So not only did the girls that did not tell anybody that they were going to be here, but they put them out in the middle of the parking lot in the cold, and they're standing there and they're not doing anything. They look bored. They're trying to get people, coax people to come get tested. Technically should be mandatory for this living situation. And so I go up and I get my test, and we're chit-chatting, and they're like, oh, you're so nice. Like, what are you doing here? Like, all surprised and stuff. I'm like, let me tell you, if I was not a better person than I was a week ago, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have told you everything about this place. But let's just say that I'm not surprised that there's not people in there. She's like, yeah, this was a big screw up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's not the interesting part. What happened was, as I'm walking away, the huge fight breaks out. Like, here's the table where the 3 ladies are. There's 2 tables, and 3 of them are sitting there. And I get my test, and I'm walking away. And me and the girls had a good time just talking and chit-chatting as they were doing my tests and stuff. I mean, I was being polite, covering my mouth and shit. But the point is that as I'm walking away, right next to them, that little hallway on the side, a fight breaks out between a guy and a girl. Okay, now, I have a pet peeve about men and women fights, but this wasn't physical. It was just a screaming match. But it was vulgar. It was nasty. It was so petty. And all of the staff are just standing there staring at them. And I look at the nurses, and the nurses look at me, and I swear to God, it was like all 4 of us went, these motherfuckers right here, you're just going to watch. You're not going to stop this. You're not going to, like, intervene with something. And the nurses are right next to it. So if it would have gone violent, the nurses would have got caught. So I swear to you, I looked right back at the head nurse, and I said, so as I'm going up the stairs, because I can't believe it, I'm just like, really, they're just going to let this play out, like, it's going to be assholes and, like, not do anything about it, okay? So I'm like, now I'm laughing, because I'm just like, okay, so I'm not crazy. This place really needs better running, right? Like, they're not telling the people, it's like one of those insane asylums where they have, like, people running around. I'm not in an insane asylum, but like it's like where the patients are running everything, and meanwhile the staff is just like, I'm just here to get my $10 an hour, like that type of mentality. So as I'm going up the stairs, you remember I had done this to the lady, and she had smiled at me, and I didn't say anything. But as I'm about to go towards my room, I hear, "Okay, girls, it's time to wrap this shit up. Let's go." And I'm just like, serendipitous. I just think that's wonderful, But I'm just like, that's the level of like what I'm dealing with. And so I've started focusing my energy on alchemizing, like singing a lot more and just trying to keep my vibration high, because I know that it affects my surrounding and it kind of heals things. And so sure enough, I'm starting to like, sing a little bit louder, but very like, so that I don't bother my neighbors. And wouldn't you know, my neighbors, he stopped playing the music all day. It's been a quiet day. So never underestimate your own power when you are upbeat and when you are trying to be a good person, and when you just know what alchemy is, not the negative occult alchemy, but like alchemizing energy where you convert negativity into positivity. And if you can do that on a general basis, it starts to affect your surroundings. I'm not saying that that's the only reason, because the shit went down in the courtyard, but me and the nurses were just fine. We were just like, they're just going to watch. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Anyway, so that's the update on this place. And so I can kind of feel like sooner or later an opportunity or something is going to either present itself or not. But I'm okay now. Like at this point, I'm just finding it kind of comical. Like, don't tell me that there's no fucking place for me to go and then have your staff inadvertently go, yeah, there's no one on the 3rd floor. So what would be the problem with me moving up to the 3rd floor so that because the guy's not doing anything directly to me and I don't need any conflict. So it would be general management to go, well, okay, neither one of them is complaining. He just doesn't, it's like noise bothers him. There's no one up there. Why don't you just fucking move him up there? But, who am I going to call? The person that's running this shit show? I'm like, no. So I'm just kind of being patient, and I'm just kind of like trying to let it all go. But it's part of the initiations, and so I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of that update, because it came off of like, and then I came and I got into all this stuff with Girly and her confirmation. I was like, all right. So I wanted to focus on the positivity and energy of art, because part of the thing that's happening with Ascension is that we're returning to the Renaissance. Now, there's a variation between Renaissance and Renaissance man. A Renaissance is, going back to the days where you use anything and you create art and all that stuff. Renaissance man is somebody who can use all of the utensils like a magician can. And I know that everybody gets triggered with the word magician, but get over yourselves. Just get over it. Harry Potter kind of changed the world on that one. Thank you to JK. Because the Lord doesn't make mistakes. You know what I mean? And so, like, even though have you guys noticed I refer to the tarot, but I don't do tarot. There's a reason for that, right? But that's my personal thing. I don't, tell anybody, because I still love, my tarot readers. I still think they're great. But I'm in a different headspace. But I can understand why some people are no longer doing that. And, She Bear was a perfect example, who I adore. I will say her name. Because she retired, and she was one of the most gifted tarot readers as someone else, and they've decided that they'd rather walk with Christ, and that their path is away from the occult, and I honor that, right? I'm all about evolution and all that stuff. But anyway, so the moral story is art in general. It's a word, I was just trying to avoid the trigger here of the magician, but I'm a magician, let's put it that way. I don't deal with dark arts, I deal with God's light, but I still look at all things as possibilities of God talking to you. It can be song, it can be the written word, it can be monologue as you pick, it can be any indication that means you're having an online dialogue with the divine. Spirit, God, Allah, whatever you call it. I'm super non-divisive. I'm all welcoming everybody all the time. So the reason I wanted to bring up the acting thing is because I was presented with an idea, and it showed where I was in my own evolution. So I'm going to humble myself and share this story. So remember, I'm doing this thing where, because of my mission being it has some dark elements and some things where I probably need to be a little bit more proactive about preserving my energy and not taking on energy that's not mine, because I'll be walking into spaces with people that I know that they're disconnected because of a rape. Well, I already know I'm going to have to go into that headspace and try to communicate with them on that level, and try to hopefully be loving and caring enough for them to gravitate. But I still have to go into those mental spaces, right? And so acting has become a thing. And so, but I'm still kind of looking at it kind of like from a vain standpoint. I'm just like, I don't, because I'm having trouble with the monologue. And it's that I'm trying to do so much on the channel, and I'm trying to like do exactly what the formatting was going to be. Because if you notice, every day has been a specific kind of segment. And so it's kind of like what I'm streamlining, but it's not, I'm not ready to reveal everything yet. I'm waiting for the right opportunities to present themselves, and then from that I can discern exactly who's going to get, how it's going to all work out. Okay, so I was still kind of like about the acting thing, because it's like, it's not, I felt like a little bit like ego about it, and I was just like, well, but I'm not an actor. And they go, you are an actor. You are a human being that is the extension of a soul who is having a temporary experience in the awareness that you are just here temporarily going through this. Now your task is to do something even bigger, and you're going to have to play a part in the world. And stop looking at this with your nose up and bring your nose down and look at it for what it is. You go, you are an actor. All of you are actors. You're playing a part on behalf of Source and you're of Spirit, and you're actually fulfilling your prophecy or your destiny. In order to do it, sometimes you're going to be the victim, sometimes you're going to be the assailant, sometimes you're going to be the good person, sometimes you're going to be the bad person, blah, blah, blah. But you're going to have to evolve through this. So acting is a wonderfully gifted way to do it. And I was like, okay. And like, besides, we know that one of your big secrets, my guides, is that you would love to be in a horror movie. What if another Hatchet was being done, and something that you do on a monologue that has to do with a completely different thing bears a fruit over here? What if you get invited to do a horror movie that's really graphic and really horrible, like the ones that you think are pretty badass? What if you end up doing like in one of Robert Rodriguez's films where, you end up with a machine gun as a leg? Now, you could completely just disregard it, because you say you have a bad singing voice. I made a comment that pissed off my guides a little bit, which was, I didn't mean it to be flippant, but it came across kind of flippant, and I kind of acknowledge it now. Yesterday I said singer when I'm going to be a singer, and it pissed my guides off, because they're like, why not? Why are you shutting down doors? Why are you closing doors that you don't even understand what could be on the other side? Why are you cutting yourself off from it? You have a decent voice. Just deal with it. Like, okay, so you're a gay guy with a decent voice. Ooh, that's so strange. Like, what is so hard for you to grasp? And so I've had a humbling, like it's been a day of humbling. And so the point is this. So, because I never know, their point was, you never know. They brought up Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie is a gifted actress, very gorgeous to look at. She's a gifted being. She is someone here with a lot of good karma that has had to work through negative karma. And she makes mistakes like every human being does, but she's still a genuinely good person. How do you know? Because she's a fucking humanitarian. And she wouldn't have been able to do all of the humanitarian effort that she does with UNHCR, I think it is. Sorry if I got that wrong. But she wouldn't be able to do that if she wasn't the actress. Get it? So what is so hard for you to understand about maybe because of where you're going to be going as your mission, that doesn't mean that you can't utilize your gifts in different ways to help support the charities, because I have all these charities that I have in my mind, one in particular that I'm going to create, and then a bunch of them that I like. Autism, you guys know that's my big charity. Autism, people who are in mental institutions and all of that are major issues for me that I'm going to be working with. And so I can share that with you, because nobody can damper that. My evolution is not something, what's mine is mine. You can't take it. And not because I'm not giving you the power to do it, but at the same time, I've learned to tone back exactly what those things are for a while. And by the time that anybody would know about it, it's already done. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like, but that's true for anybody. So it's not like people can. I get so many psychic attacks and so many things like that are just so petty, and I've learned to just not involve myself with it. My guides know what's going on, and they're aware of it, and we just kind of look at I just kind of look at them every now and then. I'm just like, it was bound to happen. Like, when you try to be good to a hypocritical liar, the worst Satan that can exist is a truth teller, because it jeopardizes everything that they've ever built. Does that change the fact that the person is still innocent or telling the truth? Hell no. It just, to that individual with that baggage, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. And so they'll do everything they can to get people against this one person, and this one person is going to be like, it still doesn't change the truth. You cannot, I would say the example, the peacock. I wrote it in one of my articles. You can dress a peacock in petticoats and you can make it look poor and trashy and all of this bullshit all you want, but a person who's looking for beauty and truth will see the peacock in regardless of what it's wearing and be like, that's a peacock. I want to go hang out with the peacock. Great, now I have Katy Perry in my head. Peacock, cock, cock, you peacock. I used to blast that shit. Anyway, bygones. Letting that go. The point is that it's still the truth. So you can dress anything anywhere you want, but at the end of the day, the truth will still come out no matter what. But I'm just giving you guys perspective because there's so much shit that just goes down that you guys don't. It's just like, and I'm careful. Like people like get really triggered when I say psychic. Psychic is just the ability to tap into the ethers. It's just a word that we have. If you want to create another word that isn't a negative connotation, be my guest. We have bootylicious. That wasn't a word. Beyonce created that word. So you can still... This is all about creation. So make up a fucking word that's more appropriate for Catholic, Christians, whatever. Big bag of bullshit over here. Hypocritical bullshit. I'm not talking about the faith or the denomination. Those are all good. I'm talking about like the hypocritical crap. Like, oh, I don't want you to say psychic. I know that you are gifted and that you work for God, but psychic makes you sound like a culty. That's your baggage. That is not my baggage. Take your baggage. I'm going to put it right back to you and go, here you go. Enjoy your travels. Bye. Thank you for coming. Like, it's not my baggage. But having said that, there are ways that we can create from that space a powerful way to convert that energy and go, hey, why don't we just create a new word that's not psychic? Let's be proactive. Creation. So, one of the things about the whole acting conversation was, okay, so now I understand the value of it. And then they said some powerful words that I'm going to share with you. And what if you got to act with, and even if you're not an actor, because they know that's not my thing, but even if I was given the opportunity, let's say that because I'm going to share my monologue with you as a point, probably today or tomorrow or Sunday, but I'm going to release a video about my artwork, like actual things I've painted called the Ascension series, but that comes out tomorrow. Further down the road here, in a day or two, I'm going to do the monologue from the garden. And in that, they were like, what if that catches the eye of, I don't know, Jodie Foster? I'm a gay dude. But that was the magic 2 words to say to me. And in that expression, in that exchange, I'm going to move the camera a little bit here. Sorry, guys. I'm still working on all this stuff. But there was something powerful that happened. Oh, I just saw that something was seen behind me. Should I show? See that? It's holy water. That's all I'm going to say. You have no idea how much shit comes my way sometimes. Anyway, bygones. People could be like, what the fuck? Yeah. You are always safe if you believe you're safe, and sometimes your intuition will tell you to do things that makes no sense to anybody else. You have only yourself to report to, so trust your instincts. Anywho, so Jodie Foster, when they said that, first of all, I would kill to work with. First of all, she's a INTJ. We're both INTJs. And I cannot be more grateful to her because of her, I don't ever have to incarnate as a female and go through a rape situation as a part of my queries. Because I saw a movie called The Accused, and she did such an incredible role of literally showing you what that was like for her and the character, the person, that I don't ever have to read the book on it. I don't have to actually experience it. I don't need other people to experience it for us. Like, for me, that's an end game moment, right? Because what she did is she became a rape person who survived being, I think it was on a pinball machine by multiple guys, which actually happened, and she depicted it and won an Oscar for it, which is the very least that actors deserve when you look at them in the right light. See, actors and writers have the gift from God of actually being able to depict in art, in their creation, things that will help us as a species do better. Tom Hanks was he was in the movie Castaway, and none of us can look at a fucking beach ball without looking at, I can't remember the name of the beach ball, but to understand what that loneliness is like. So most of us, whoever would have had that down the road as a possible even outcome, no longer have that, because our souls go, okay, got it, registered. Nope, don't need to be lost on a raft. That doesn't sound fun anymore to me. Okay, got it. Meryl Streep, another one, just unbelievably gifted actress. But what do they have all in common? They possess the character, bring it to your awareness. You are exposed to that experience, and you don't have to do that as a karmic cycle anymore, because if your soul smart goes, yeah, I'm good. No. Terms of endearment. A lot of people would have had to go down the road where the parent would have had to bury their child, or Steel Magnolias, even worse for me, Sally Field, and Julia Roberts, for that matter, Olympia Dukakis, Weezer, who I just adore. I'm part Weezer. I'm totally Weezer. Sorry, I'm having a moment in my head. Dolly Parton is Truvy, who I just thought was great. Even, what's her name? Daryl Hannah. She's the only odd person, but I love her commitment to her character, and so I'm one of those people who actually defends her in that movie, because I just think she was the right person. If you guys ever, I don't know if you guys ever got the subtext to that movie, but there's 3 generations present there. There's Miss Clary and Miss Weezer, which are the older 2 affluent women who represent the evolution. 2 different paths you can take, one super happy, one super bitter, towards at least the middle point. Then there's Truvy, and there is Millen. And they're both the same. They're the 2 besties there. And Truvy supports the husband, and Millen is a well-to-do woman who has these kids and raises them and does a part-time job. Then the next generation would be Shelby and Daryl Hannah's character. I can't remember her name. I just remember that Truvy at some point goes, "Oh, you sweet thing." Anyway, so the moral is they were supposed to be best friends too, but unfortunately, Shelby passes away. Now, how many of you would have ever put yourself into a position of ever depicting or even thinking about what it must have been like for the mother to bury her daughter, her only daughter? And you see what I'm saying? So it stops us. That's why I say dissipating the darkness is because when you confront fear, that's why I love horror movies, FYI, that's the connecting piece there, is because I don't need to be decapitated anymore. One, I've already actually experienced that in one of my previous lives, and I don't want to do that again. Although it's kind of ironic that it's, I lost my head, and then I'm really good at giving way. Moving on. Sorry, there's serious face. So I put, one of my favorite movies is Hatchet. I just love that fucking movie. The series, actually, I love all of them, because it's just, it's so brutal, and I'm just yeah, I don't need to be, like that movie Friday the 13th, I think it was number 4, where the guy's upside down, and he's walking on his hands, and he's talking to, he's about to be a dad, and Jason just cuts him from that straight down to, don't need to experience that either. I'm good. I watched it in the movie, and I'm just yeah, I don't want to ever have to go and so you think I'm kidding, but think about it from a logical standpoint. If your soul is experiencing things in an incarnation, and it manages to be smart enough to acknowledge the experience, then what happens? You remove that experience from ever being possible for you, because you're just okay, I don't need to be raped again. Nope, I'm good. I don't have to be a female raped by 4 guys. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Okay, good. We'll check. And then it's called empowerment. So the next time you look at somebody who's an actor, and you look your nose down at an actor, if they manage to save your ass from having to experience something, then instead of looking your nose down, how about you look at them in the eye and say, thank you, Jodie Foster. Thank you, Meryl Streep. Thank you, Julia Roberts. Thank you, Sandra Bullock, who, by the way, in Blindside is my favorite movie of all time, because of her character, because of who that woman actually is, and because of how Sandra touched into that lifestyle. Anne Hathaway, I totally get you, sweetie. I know why you stepped back for a minute, because you got the negative backlash, but instead of taking it personally, what'd you do? You went and probably went to the beach and fucking hung out and did what you need to do. More power to you. Shannon Doherty, another one. I adore Shannon Doherty. I am the Shannon Doherty of the fucking South. My hair is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm having coincidentally, Sarah Michelle Gellar. The hair. Sorry, the cuteness of the hair just got distracted me. I thought of Sarah Michelle Gellar and Buffy. I don't ever have to be a female vampire slayer, ever. But at the same time, because of that experience with her, I know that I can be completely airheadish and be one of the baddest chicks in the world. And then she went on to do Cruel Intentions, where she played, I can't remember her name, but I actually connected with Sarah Michelle Gellar back in the Swan's Crossing days, but that's for a whole different reason. But these are badass chicks, okay? And what about the guys that aren't in some sort of controversial thing right now? There's not a lot. Most of the guys are kind of knee-deep in bullshit. Okay, how about Ryan Seacrest? Ryan Seacrest is probably one of the most gentle souls I think I've ever witnessed. Obviously don't know him, but if you look at the work that he's done and the fact that he has so many different jobs in his hands and so many, he's one of the hardest fucking working men in the world, and he gets attacked left, right, and center. Fucker makes more money than God. Well, maybe not. I mean, the Catholic Church makes a lot of money, but that's not God that makes the money. I'm getting myself in trouble now. But do you see my point? There are people that are out there who are called entertainers. Medea. Oh my god, that was the example. That was the third example they gave me. And when they were like, what if fucking Tyler Perry walked up and says, I'm doing Medea Goes to Hell and I need Satan. Will you play Satan? And I was like, yes! And they were like, so are you going to keep thumbing your nose at this whole acting thing because you just don't see yourself doing it? Or because you think that that wouldn't be beneficial for our cause, for you to be out there in limelight and probably bringing a lot of attention to spiritual causes and to stepping outside of your comfort zone and bringing people the truth of really hard characters to play? You don't think that that's worthy of your attention? And I went, okay. Needless to say, I'm probably going to do an all-nighter where I'm going to study the garden and my part. And so either tomorrow or the day after, I will be presenting that to the world. And then I'm going to pull back for a little bit because of the information that's coming in surrounding my path and in general for those of us who are ascending quite quickly now. And so I wanted to mention that because there is a part of the Renaissance that is coming back for humanity. And part of it is that sometimes when you need to speak in code, sometimes what you preserve in art is so important. And I used the example in one of my articles about our learning experience on Earth. That when you are an ascender that has a great power, what is it that Queen Cup said? Beware the crown that's the heaviest, or something like that. When you are gifted with so many... Oh, the bell just went off on my phone. Confirmation. When you are a creator and when you are given the ability to step in an aligned lifetime or role with creator, with source, with spirit, then what you think matters and what you're afraid of becomes a thing. Because let's say that you are terrified of roaches. This happened to me once when I was a kid. So to think that flying roaches, in the South we have those huge fucking roaches, the huge ones that fly all over the place. The big ones that can pick up bricks and throw them back at you, they're kind of New York that way. Anyway, so one day my cousin and I were sitting in, I think I was 7 and she was 4 or something like that. 10 or 4, I can't remember. There's an age difference there. Anyway, we're coloring in the kitchen, and it was during a thunderstorm, but it was right where it was just the thunder and lightning smashing everything down. Well, apparently one of them hit a little too close to the tree next to our house, or my aunt's house, because my cousin and I are just sitting there coloring, and I tell her this is a true story, and we see like a roach, one of the big ones, fall from the ceiling, and we didn't pay any attention to it. The cat Titi grabbed it and was playing with it, and I looked at my cousin like, look, Titi's got a roach. Okay. My aunt, who's in the bedroom, is kind of, I guess she's walking past, looking towards the kitchen, and she looks up and she says, Arevalo. That's me. And I said, ¿Qué? Y me dijo, ¿Qué es eso? Meaning, what's that? And I look up, and the entire ceiling is covered with thousands of flying roaches. My cousin screams, which sends them all flying, goes flying out of the room, and me and the cat Titi are stuck in the fucking kitchen playing with the roaches, and I'm just covered in like roaches flying everywhere. And so imagine if I was, let's say, a leader or an ascendant that's in charge of war somewhere and is in the middle of a battle and is about to get ready, and inadvertently that fear comes into my mind, and as a creator I manifest thousands upon thousands of roaches that start flying through the battle and just fucking everything up. It's a comical way to look at it, but that's the truth of creation. That's the truth of what it is to be a leader that walks in alignment with the divine, is that you got to pilfer through your fears, because otherwise you will manifest what? Your fears. And so actors and singers and writers are the one beings that we so underestimate and undervalue in our planet, and even I did myself till today. Because at the end of the day, they are the people that bring those stories to you so that you never have to experience it in this lifetime. And I think that merits my devotion and attention now to this monologue I'm going to do, and to the possibility of opening that door up, because what a better way to bring people back from the dark than to go into the dark places, possess that energy on film forevermore, so that other souls that come down the pike don't have to do it again. I did it as a writer, so why not as an actor? So I'm not saying I'm going to be an actor, because I'm 40 years old and look at my hair, but it's a possibility. And so don't ever shut doors on yourself based on what you think you know, because God has so much more in mind for us than we can ever possibly know. And so the truth is, yeah, I have a specific mission, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have alignment. It doesn't mean that it can't be something grandiose like that. Like, why not? We're all special. So don't close the doors on your dreams just because they seem impractical. Find a way to bring that balance in. And so there you go. That's my message for today. So it's been a little bit of a long one, a little rant, but I just wanted to confirm that to my friend there, soul sister. Got it? I'm with you. And then I also acknowledge that I have been slept on, so to speak. And so it's good to know that good things are still coming. But, discernment is the ability to take bullshit and truth and separate the two. She said it in a much more eloquent way, but like I said, I'm giving all the power to her because she's just an incredibly powerful, gifted, divine vessel that she is. Anyway, enough. She's probably like, who is this motherfucker? But anyway, the moral story is that don't underestimate your ability to rise to things that you can't see yet. Because sometimes like yesterday when I said the singing thing, my singing's not that off, and there's something called auto key. So maybe fucking down the road I could be a goddamn singer. Like, sorry, not goddamn. I don't know, maybe if I'm playing a villain, I guess that would be a goddamn moment. But the point is, like, don't ever sell yourself short and shut doors on yourself just because you aren't aware yet of what is being presented in the possibility. Remember? We are endless possibilities upon possibilities upon possibilities. Just because I'm a master of sorrow doesn't mean that I can't bring the sorrow so that other people don't have to master it themselves. That's a gift. Remember, every burden, every cross to bear is a curse that becomes a blessing. With that gift that I have, I also now have the gift of empathy, which is to be able to empathize with other people's struggle or joy. See? One's one way to look at, the other one. That's it for me, guys. You guys have a great night. Tomorrow I'll do my Ascension series, which is an art series that I drew. And I just have to figure out what I'm going to narrate with it, because, I don't like to, I know it sounds like I like hearing myself, but I'm not a big fan of my own voice sometimes. I'm getting better at it, but I have to figure out what I'm going to say for the narration. And it's going to have some pictures of me as a kid and stuff like that, and it'll be cute. But it's about time that we see the art. We're returning to that Renaissance era, and so that's going to be that's going to be tomorrow. And then now I got to focus on the monologue, now that they put it in a better perspective for me. Look, I may be teaching as I go, but I am still a student, and that's one of the great things about Ascension, is that a true ascendant is always a student. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be here. You would probably leave. Now I'm learning how to be a teacher. I'm down with it. That's it for me, guys. You guys have a great night. Night.